New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Afternoon, welcome. I'm Reverend Joy Fletcher, and I'm so glad that you could join us today. I'm the solo host today, and we're just sending good vibes and thinking of Bishop Durrell Watkins and Reverend Jeff Radcliffe. We have a great guest today, and I can hardly wait to share some space with her. And some of the ways that I share ministry is as the president of Divine Science Ministers Association, and I'm a lifetime member of INTA, the International New Thought Alliance, and a host of other New Thought organizations. And again, I'm so grateful that you're here. Divine Science Everywhere has been broadcasting for just a little over a year now. And it's been exciting, and we are enjoying ourselves so much. So thank you for your support. So as we begin every week, we're going to come together in a centering moment. So let us pause together in the sacred awareness that there is a presence always with us. In fact, we dwell in this presence. Divine science emphasizes that we live and move and have our being in this omnipresence, which is absolute good, perfect peace, divine love. We live and dwell in divine wisdom and guidance and abundance. Divine science emphasizes that God is not far away, but rather the infinite is omnipresent within us, around us, through us, as perfect life itself. Because this presence is already here, we don't need to chase peace. We awaken to it. We claim it. We take moments like these, taking a breath and slowly releasing it. Let our shoulders soften, and let your nervous system hear this message. Peace is here. Peace dwells within me. Peace expresses itself through me, through you, through all. Today, we reflect on creativity, music, vibration, and consciousness. Before mankind created instruments. There was a rhythm, the rhythm of breath, the rhythm of heartbeat, the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of the tides, and the rhythm of prayer. You are a part of this rhythm now, and you always have been, and you always will. Even when life feels uncertain, even when the world feels noisy and discordant, there remains within you this sacredness, untouched, undisturbed by outer appearances. The presence of God expresses itself through me now. Peace is my true state of mind. Wisdom is guiding me. Divine love restores everything, everybody, right here, right now. Collectively, we rise in consciousness, in the awareness that divine love, divine life, divine wisdom moves and operates through us, as us, for us, and for all. If there's someone in your heart of hearts that needs a blessing today, hold them gently in your heart and in your mind for a moment. And release our concerns into the divine essence of perfect life, perfect love. If there is grief in you, let it be met by tenderness. If there is joy right now, let it expand out from your heart through every cell in your body and in your auric field, so that it reaches out and touches others. For it only takes one kind word, one wise choice, one faithful breath, one generous thought, and even one loving step to contribute to an elevated state of transformation. We bless this broadcast, the network, every viewer, whether watching live or the recording. We bless our guest. We bless all of the leaders that have been elected to represent us globally, and know that they are bringing a gift. They're showing us the places where love is needed consciously. Of course, love is always there. However, let us call forth this love right here, right now. And we wish all peace of mind, love in heart, strength in spirit, and light in action. And so as we gently bring our attention back to this space, we affirm and we know that all is well, and so it is, and always shall be forevermore. Now, every week we talk about luminaries, and this week I would like to talk about Nona Brooks. Her birthday was March 22nd, 1861, and she died, made her transition March 14th, 1945. She was known as a prophet of modern Christianity, and she was a leader in the New Thought movement, not just divine science. And she was a founder of the Church of Divine Science in Denver, Colorado. Now, she was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and then she moved with her family to Charleston, West Virginia, where she attended the Charleston Female Academy. Due to the collapse of her father's salt mining business, the family moved again, and this time it was to Pueblo, Colorado, where he entered the metal mining business. And he died shortly after they moved there, and Nona was 19. She wanted to become a teacher, and then she attended the Pueblo Normal School, and then followed by a one-year stay at Wesley College. And she had some health challenges. It was difficult for her to swallow, and from what I understand, she kept losing weight because she couldn't swallow and had these throat issues. Well, Nona and her sisters attended a class that a lady was very excited to share. Her name was Mrs. Bingham, and she had studied with Emma Curtis Hopkins in Chicago and came back from Chicago, as they say, in radiant health. She had been very ill when she went there, and she applied the universal laws and divine science and was healed. So Nona also practiced these principles, although she was resistant at first. Like so many of us, we're resistant. We want to continue doing what we're doing, even though it doesn't work, and still feel desperate and, are ready for a change. So she did. And she remembers, or she recounted saying that she sang a hymn about light and was resistant to that. But at some point, she saw this light and she was healed and was persistent with these teachings, and eventually became the first minister at the Divine Science Church in Denver. And she held the initial service on January 1st, 1899 at the Plymouth Hotel in Denver, and became the process of the first female pastor in Denver. So thank you for allowing me to share this with you. It's exciting to stand on the shoulders of our spiritual ancestors, and also it's an opportunity and privilege to carry these teachings forward into our time right now, to honor our spiritual ancestors, as well as to carry it forth in a way that is timeless for our current society. So again, this is Reverend Joy Fletcher, and this is Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome back. Welcome back. As a lead-in to introduce our guest today, I like to read a little bit from Nona Brooks because I think that our guest embodies many of these principles. Nona said that man is ever pushing on to richer experience and greater achievement. He has placed much and aspires to more, much more. However, objective possessions do not satisfy the real man. He will never feel complete or contented until he attains spiritual consciousness, the soul enrichment that satisfies. Now, as I read our introduction for our guest, you'll see that she also ever pushes herself and to expand creativity, her gifts, and her depth of spiritual consciousness. Ginger Coyle is a soulful singer, songwriter, exquisite pianist, and licensed Science of Mind practitioner whose work lives at the intersection of music, healing, and spiritual awakening. Known for her emotive voice and intuitive musicianship, she brings a fresh, heart-filled perspective to both original music and reimagined covers, transforming familiar songs into deeply moving experiences. As a performer, Ginger creates immersive musical journeys that span decades and genres, weaving storytelling, nostalgia, and presence into every set. Whether at the piano for an intimate brunch, a spiritual gathering, or a concert stage, her ability to connect invites audiences into a shared space of reflection, joy, and authenticity. Rooted in New Thought philosophy, Ginger's work as a practitioner informs everything she creates. She sees music as a form of prayer, an opening into truth, healing, and remembrance. Through her songs, speaking, and spiritual practice, she holds a high watch for transformation, guiding others back to their own inner light and creative power. A devoted mother and conscious artist, Ginger continues to build a life and career that honors both her creative calling and her commitment to service, living the belief that art, love, and spirit are not separate, but one. So welcome, Ginger Coyle. It's so nice that you could spend this time with with us. So I seem to be on mute.
Hi, Joy.
Hi there.
Thanks for that awesome introduction. Great to see you again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Oh boy. Well, also thank you for that comparison to Nona in the beginning too, because I'm just starting to learn about Nona, and it's interesting that she's a part of this podcast in some way now because she's come into my field, and that's just, I guess, how this works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my journey has been a very long one, but it did start singing in the church, and that's where it's full circling back to.
Yes.
And that's a moment that I never really thought would happen, because once I sort of left the Catholic Church and I was no longer singing in the choir, I began writing my own music, and that whole journey took off in, really awesome ways as a young person, to be signed to record deals and, be on television and all these things that you think are fulfilling, and the music industry, and that's exciting and all, but I found out very quickly that nothing is as it seems. And what I ended up coming to was that, it doesn't matter all of the material gains and the things around you. That's not really spiritually fulfilling. And so once all of that was sort of stripped away by the universe in my life after my second record label, and I realized that I was pregnant with my daughter, Gio, who is 16 now, all of that being signed and all of the things that I was chasing that I found, they really meant not too much at the end of the day, because my spiritual cup was empty. And as a songwriter, I was about to bring a child into the world, and I really wanted to have a purpose as a writer. And that's sort of sparked my awakening. And I think it was about 2009, I got the book, A New Earth. And that was the book that rocked my world and started officially my spiritual journey. That's what cracked me open.
Wonderful. So that's the book by Eckhart Tolle.
Yes.
And what was in that book that really touched your soul?
I think it was really just coming to terms with my own ego. you know? And I think that in my journey of becoming a mother, that was going to be a key piece. What I was about to find out, in about 9 months after reading that book, what that really truly meant, to get out of my whole life, which revolved around myself, to care for another person, to love another person unconditionally, and that's really, I don't know. It's all a piece of the bigger picture when I look back. And I thank God that book came into my field when it did, because I feel like it prepared me to be a mother.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, was that your introduction to New Thought?
Yeah, and even at the time, I didn't know that New Thought was a thing. It still took me until in 2014. That was when I was invited to sing at Center for Conscious Living, which is sort of my home base center here in South Jersey. I was invited to sing with a friend who I didn't know was a Science of Mind practitioner. I just knew him as another person in the music community, and we shared a gig together. And I was laying all of my worldly problems on him on the way to play this gig together. And on the way home, he said, I have a gig for you that I think that you would enjoy. He didn't tell me he was a practitioner. He just listened to me go through my, my stuff. And then he invited me to play at Center for Conscious Living. And at first he said, it's on a Sunday. And I was like, you're trying to get me to sing at church. I don't know if that's going to work out well for you. But it wasn't by any means the church that I was used to back in my Catholic days. It was much different, and it was so welcoming. I will never forget that day, because that's another life-changing moment, coming into that community, that love, being embraced. And now that's where I'm a practitioner. I just became. So it's
Right.
I've been serving that community ever since.
How wonderful. Sometimes in our life, we're invited to do something or learn a new skill, and it seems so insignificant at that time. But I've noticed in my life that as I look back, it was creating one layer of the foundation to prepare me. It continues as you reach a certain point. Yes.
Well, I look back and I think if I had said no to my friend Norman that day, my life wouldn't have, I would have stayed in the cycles, and that was something that once I started attending and playing music at Center for Conscious Living, and then jumped into the foundations like within 6 months after, stepping foot in the building. And then just that opened up my studies, and I just wanted to keep expanding and growing, knowing more, holding higher consciousness. And that's what led me to the practitioner training. It wasn't because I was so excited to be a practitioner. It was because there was nothing left for me to take. And that was just the next thing. And now I'm through that, and I'm looking at the next thing, that comes.
And what is that? What do you think that might be?
Well, I ministerial,
Yes.
have my own center one day would be wonderful. But for now, I think it just looks like what I bounce around to different communities in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware area. But last year, after meeting people at Anton, I was invited to Canada and California, and I went on a tour. So, it's having a traveling music ministry is really where it's at right now. And I think once my children are past school age, then I'll settle somewhere and create a community. I don't know what that looks like entirely, but just answering the calls, what this is.
Yes, I do know that. I do know that. Yes. And sometimes universe has a sense of humor. You thought you were just studying a book. You thought you were going to sing music at the center, and then you took a few classes and on. And maybe it's designed that way, if we saw the big picture, maybe we wouldn't. We
Yeah.
wouldn't do that. We would talk ourselves out of it. Fears, ego, and such. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's the most significant thing that about your spiritual self or your spirituality that's really important to you?
Well, I think that has evolved over time too, because
Mhm.
I'm just sort of finding my footing with what practices work for me um, as a practitioner.
Mhm.
And it took my 2 years with that practitioner training that sort of opened up a practice where I sit at the piano after I'm in meditation. And I come out of that, I usually meander to my piano and I sit with God at the piano or
Mhm.
with spirit. And I just try to remain in that meditative state, stay as open as I can.
Mhm.
And I just see what wants to come through. It's more of a listening
Mhm.
than anything else.
Mhm.
And it's also my offering to the universe. I'm not creating for any
Mhm.
one particular reason. That time that I
Mhm.
sit down after my meditation is strictly for God. And sometimes, coincidentally, that ends up being something that I take into a center and sing,
Mhm.
that week because it aligns. But I never, I have times where I sit down for myself to work on music and to write, but that time that I've learned that I need to sit down and allow for spirit to come through me and to offer what I can is really, that's the most important part and piece of my practice now, I would say,
Mhm. Mhm.
because it keeps me in communion. It keeps me open.
Right.
I never know what's going to happen. And I don't have any expectations, and neither does God.
Well, that's interesting. So, are you saying that the willingness to be receptive to whatever happens, allow creativity to flow through you?
Yeah.
You think that is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and not putting this pressure on me that it has to be the most beautiful note I ever sang or the most
Right.
beautiful thing I ever played. It can sometimes it is just not. And I'm just flubbing my way around the keys and happy mistakes, happy accidents, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't, it's pure, it's almost childlike. It's
Mm,
playing
mm, mm.
and it's important. Play is important.
Yes, it is. That is, and the willingness to play leads to creative expression.
Yes.
Because
And
sometimes as adults we think that that's just a waste of time. We need to be more task oriented and such.
and that's for me. I mean, Joy, I've been in situations where I've show up at a studio and I'm writing for somebody else, or I would just show up every day and you're writing because we want to write a song about this and it's got to sound like that. And, everything is so, there's a plan and we have to do it this way. And, but this is just, it's almost like I'm sitting at the piano and I'm in that nothingness. I try to look at the keys like I've never seen them, like I'm a child and I'm feeling my way through the scale. Like I just try to
Mhm,
come with a newness every time I
mhm.
sit and I do that practice.
Right, right.
Or it can be with the guitar as well. I
Mm,
Something that I started accidentally doing, this is just recently in the past few weeks, is sitting on my back porch with a guitar. And I'm really connected with birds.
mm,
And the birds, I always whistle back and sing with the birds. I'm like the crazy bird lady in my neighborhood. But I started to play guitar and find the tones that the birds were singing on my guitar and pick out the notes and sort of create like this jam session with the birds in real time, and we go back and forth, and I'll throw in a whistle, and like we're singing it, and it's not just one bird. I mean, it turns out to be like a collection of birds that are hanging around me, and it just proves that the oneness is so true and apparent. There's no arguing with it in that moment. It's just the birds and I and God, and we're all finding the same wave to ride, you know. And music, to me, in those moments, what I'm finding is that music is the universe's love language. That's my new.
I love that. I love that. And it touched me when you said that you start that process with one bird and then other birds come. And what a wonderful metaphor for us in our life, that we set an intention and we practice divine love the best that we can, and don't worry about how things are going to unfold. And it just comes to us. And we are part of that transformation, not only inner transformation, but transformation for others in our world. And they may not know, why, but it doesn't matter. I remember one of my spiritual mentors had talked about how she started studying truth herself because of health issues. And she said that she always felt overshadowed by her husband. And he was a teacher at a high school and things. So she was adamant that she wanted to do it herself and, eventually minister to church and things. And she noticed that as she grew and changed, he changed, their marriage deepened. And it was just really important to her in many ways. And I think it represents that all of us have our solo journey. We have others in our life, but it's about our own deepening and not worry about other people around us. And then it unfolds and naturally.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Absolutely. I have a teenager, and I've got a few ideas for them, but they're on their own journey, Joy.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I think, and also having a teenager has definitely deepened my spiritual practices.
By necessity, right?
Yes, by survival merely.
Yes. And that's okay. It's good to have a sense of humor about it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to either laugh or you cry.
Right. Or both.
Yes. Laugh till you cry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody is on their own journey, and we can certainly inspire others just by staying focused on ourselves, and us doing our own work can inspire others. You don't need to try, it ripples out.
It does. So tell us about your most recent music project. I understand that you have something that is being released. You want to tell us about that?
Well, it's not being released yet because it's still in pre-production.
Okay.
I'm moving at a snail's pace with this because I've had a lot of life changes, and I've also had a lot of music that keeps coming through that wants to be a part of the project. So I'm still in a phase where I'm listening to, I had the idea of what I thought it was going to be. But as one of my songs says, this or something better. Something better is even coming out of that. So I think it's in a phase now where all the songs are almost complete. I feel like the collection is complete. Once that has happened, then we'll get into the studio and record. But it's It's going to be a great album because I was afraid to say God on my last album. I didn't want to get too political, and I didn't want any religious affiliations with it. I didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable, all these different reasons. Higher Frequency, the last album, is just about taking accountability for your own personal vibration. And you raise that, and it like we just said, it ripples out into the world. And having that accountability for our own frequency can change the planetary vibration. So I think that was like I was weaving the spiritual principles into that whole album, but they're not really in your face so much. And this new one, I'm not afraid of that, and I say the word God quite a bit. I'm to the point where these songs have been really divine channels during my practitioner studies, and I've worked them into Tizay services with communities, and they're connected, they're chants, they're congregationals. It's devotional music, and I'm really proud of the songs. I just want to make sure that they're all executed properly. And yeah, it's been a slow journey with this one, but I feel like I need to take my time with it at the same time.
Well, it's important to listen to your own inner guidance. So, and it's not always our time. It's divine timing. So that's great. That's great. Super, super.
Thank you.
So, how is New Thought or religious science or spiritual principle shaped your path? How does it guide you, influence you?
Well, I feel like it is completely put me onto the correct path in my life. I feel like it was a long and winding road to get there. And then once I found it out, it's like, oh, this is what I've been, searching for, hoping for, the void that I was feeling in my life. I feel like, wow, this is it. So, for me, I call myself, in my bio, I mentioned that I'm a spiritual activist. And I think that that's just like staying in the knowing of the truth and holding that knowing for everyone around you, whether it's a stranger or your own child, someone in your family, a friend. It doesn't matter who they are, but just holding that truth. And I think that that's why a practitioner training aligns so well with me, because I feel like I was already starting to walk that path. It's just, it keeps me in alignment.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And then do you ever notice yourself going back into old patterns? And then how do you handle that if you notice that about yourself?
Of course, because they don't just disappear, I think that I've learned to pause and be a spectator of myself. And, really, that's the thing. I can see my patterns now. I've spent a lot of time with the patterns. I know them. So when they show up, I'm like, oh, I remember you. Yes. So, I think that just having that awareness, and I think also that pause and space for yourself to recognize and to be with whatever that piece of yourself is, and whatever that pattern is, whatever that's linked to, whether it's inner child or inner critic or you're not enoughness, all of these things that can lead to the pattern. I think it's just what I do now is I sit with that. I'm like, or I'll sit with that inner child that's linked to the pattern and be like, okay, I'm 41 now, 42 now. You're not running the show, and I'm witnessing us going back to this pattern, So spending time with it and being in it and seeing why I was led back to it, I think I'm able to retrace my steps.
That's nice. That's nice. And not be stuck in, oh, I shouldn't have, I knew better,
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that's an important thing for us to recognize and accept,
Yeah.
that
I still get stuck. I just don't get stuck as long as I used to.
right. That's
You
great.
know?
That's great to recognize that. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I I liked hearing that you will go outside and, play music and entertain the birds and they entertain you. Um, do you think that's part of self-care to do that for yourself?
Absolutely.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah. I
mm.
think just having a spiritual practice and a meditation is like hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yes,
Wouldn't leave the house without doing that. So
yes.
I don't want to leave the house until I've taken that self-care time and I've sat with God and with myself, and then
Mhm.
I'm ready to go out into the world.
Right, right. Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll continue.
Sounds good.
So, this is Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on the New Thought Media Network. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Ohm Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
We're back, and our guest today is Ginger Coyle.
Hey.
Yeah. So, Ginger, you also create bracelets and art. In fact, I have a couple of your bracelets. And so, what does creating with the hands mean to you spiritually?
Oh, wow. I never really even thought about that, Joy.
Yes. Yes.
It means you better not miss when you're swinging the hammer and hit your hand that you need for the gig later that night. It means, well, honestly, and this was my lesson too, because it was before, when I first started making those bracelets, I was staying up super late to make a whole bunch of them. For people who don't know, they have my song lyrics on like a hammered metal bracelet, but you have to hammer in every single letter individually, and you've got to make sure it's just so on the metal bracelet. It can't be backwards, or it actually becomes a super mindful practice to sit there and hammer and get everything just so. So it's an exercise of mindfulness. And my lesson was you don't want to push yourself and stay up till 3 a.m. hammering bracelets with one eye, asleep, because I definitely hammered my hand and broke my thumb right before my record release party. So I think making things with your hands, because I do it with music, and it's just another divine thing. The muscle memory in my hands, it's interesting, because sometimes I feel like I can't just stand up and sing a song that I'm used to playing on an instrument, or playing guitar or playing piano. There's some sort of a mind, voice, body connection with everything that I do as a whole. So it's awkward for me to just stand there with a microphone and sing, because my hands are doing something all the time usually. So I cherish my connection with divine and my hands, and being able to create not only music but jewelry or whatever. I love making sourdough bread. That's another cool thing to do with your hands.
How nice. How nice. Well, they're an extension of our creativity.
Yes. Absolutely.
So do you have a particular color or symbol that you like to work with your art, with your jewelry?
Well, I think I had more of a tealish blue color that was happening during my higher frequency album, and there's a blue feather. So that was the color. Although that album, all the colors, the chakras are represented, and it's like a rainbow. There's an aura around the drawing of the album artwork, and on my website you can see that. So, I feel like there's a spectrum of color in that album, and for this era that I'm in now, I'm not sure. Purple is your color is purple. That's always the color in my heart is always purple. So that's my go-to comfort color.
Nice. Did you draw the art yourself on your albums?
No, that was for the higher frequency cover. That was an artist who I commissioned to come, and I actually met her at a concert. Her name is Diane Roca, and she was drawing a band on stage live at a concert. And I found her online after that and invited her to lunch and asked her if she would draw me in my living room at my piano at the time. And she came over and did it on this large 14 by 11 moleskin and charcoal. She drew it up. It was the first drawing that she did of me that day. And I was like, that's it. That's the one. Because she has a way of capturing somebody's essence.
Right.
But it can't be like she's drawing from a photo. She needs to be in the room and observing that moment, and that's wonderful. How her moment with God comes that way.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What's happening in your world?
Well, as you can tell by my blazer, I'm singing at a casino tonight, Joy. But what's next for me is it's hard to tell, because I feel like I have my one foot in the spiritual world, and that's the foot I really, in my heart, I love to be in that world. And it's really hard to drag myself out of that, kicking and screaming, to do the other work that, is at casinos and restaurants, and it pays my bills more right at this moment. And I'm trying to figure out, how it all works, where I can be serving and in my divine purpose. And I try at this point in my life, because I do so much of the other singing, the secular singing, I sort of have to hack my own brain about it, because I don't feel great in casinos. I don't feel great with the energy. There's a lot of lack consciousness, scarcity, money vibe thing happening with alcohol, all of these different layers of casinos. Really, I feel like I need to force field myself and, before I go in. But what I pray when I'm heading into these places is just that it's no different. The divine comes through me. It emanates out. And I pray that every person who hears me play any song, I pray that I'm connected somehow to them, that I touch their heart somehow, that my emotion goes into their soul, and maybe it makes them think about something they haven't thought about in a long time, or it makes them, like, sometimes songs can be like a warm hug to somebody. It can help somebody through grief. Oh, my mother loved that song. Whatever it is. And I go on my intuition these days when I'm in these places. You know, some might call it reading a room, but I'm doing more than just visually. I feel like because I'm so connected with spirit in those moments, the songs I pick eerily get people to come up to me, you know, sometimes weeping, being like, thank you so much, or this was our wedding song, how did you know, or whatever it is. And I think that staying as present as I can, because Joy, I've played Billy Joel Piano Man so many times it would make somebody cry in a torture chamber. Okay. So there's points in it, because I've been doing this for 25 years, where like I can mentally just go on autopilot. I can check out and disassociate from that casino room like this. But I find that it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve others. And when I'm completely present and I'm open to spirit in those places, spirit comes through every single time.
Of course. Of course. Well, thank you so much for sharing space with us today. And before we close, do you have any shows or anything that you would like to share right now with all of us?
At this moment, I'm not really. I don't have anything on the horizon. I'm booking what is going to be a summer tour again, and I'm thinking it's going to be to California and back, because I went California to Canada and back last year, and that was entirely too much. So I'm gonna try to simplify it this time. But right now, I'm just trying to focus on the music, getting the record finished, and booking some sort of a summer tour where I go west and come back. But I'm looking to be at Anton again in the fall retreat. And hopefully, you know, by the next time we can be together, I'll have something more to promote with you.
Well, that sounds wonderful, and we'd love that. So again, thank you very much. And this is Divine Science Everywhere. And thank you, Ginger Coyle. And thank you, everyone that has joined us. And please like and share. Divine Science Everywhere is on In All, Through All, As All, and on New Thought Media Network.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.